Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my June/birthday book haul. So in the month of June, I got an absolutely ridiculous number of books. So let's jump straight in. I'm going to try to get through these books as quickly as possible because I literally have the most gigantic pile ever to talk to you guys about. First off, as always, we'll talk about the books that I picked up from the library in the month of June. I actually only picked up 3 books from the library this month, which is really, really awesome. The first of those is Death in the Clouds by Agatha Christie. This is the 12th book in the Hercule Poirot series, which is the next book that I need to get to. Next, I have Getting Over Mr. Right by Chrissy Manby. This is a book that I need to read to help complete one of the challenges that I'm doing in 2017. And this is just a chick lit story, I presume, about getting over a breakup. And finally, from the library, I have A Dog's Purpose by W. Bruce Cameron. This I didn't need to pick up for any of the challenges, but my good friend Emma read this book a while ago and absolutely loved it, and she's basically been harassing me ever since as to when I'm going to pick it up. So I finally caved and requested this from my library. I do really want to read this. It just kind of wasn't necessarily a priority, but she really, really wants me to read it, and I love dogs, so I'm really excited to get to this. So now we get into the absolutely ridiculous pile of books that I purchased with my own money in the month of June. So first off, in mid-June, I had an entire week off work, and one of those days I went to the shopping centre near where I live. I rarely go to the bigger shopping centre near where I live, but I had the week off, and so I went on one of the days and spent some time there, and I knew that I wanted to buy a copy of A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, and I basically walked around. I went to Target, Kmart and Big W all looking for this because I'd seen this previously in the more local shopping centre to me, but it has this sticker on it which is win a trip to meet Sarah J. Maas in the USA, and I really didn't want this sticker because I tried to kind of peel it off the first time I saw it in the shop, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be an easy to get off sticker, and I really hate having this on the cover. But it's on literally every copy I could find in any store. But the upside to searching around for this was that I ended up finding this in Big W for only $9, which is a really good price for a new release book. So I was really, really excited to pick this one up. I now do own this complete trilogy. I also picked up a copy of Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. If you saw, I recently managed to get a copy of Lady Midnight secondhand, so I have this one so that I now have both of the books. I'm a little bit scared to jump into Lady Midnight because I know that the third book, I believe this is a trilogy, and the third book's not coming out for 2 or 3 years or something, and I don't want to have to wait that long, so I'm reluctant to start it, but at the same time I really, really want to, so I'm not really sure what to do about that, but I will eventually be getting to this. So as I'm sure you all know, it was recently the 20th anniversary of the release of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling, and the house editions were released of the books. I actually won a giveaway on Twitter to pick any of them that I liked, and I have selected for her to send me the hard copy Hufflepuff edition. I am a Hufflepuff, and so I asked her to send me that. It hasn't arrived yet, so I don't have it here to show you, but I did still really want to get the paperback, so she's sending me the hardcover, which hopefully will come and be in my July book haul, and I did purchase for myself the paperback edition, so I now should have the paperback and the hardcover. I would love to actually buy all of the editions for all of the houses, but I just cannot justify spending that much money on them. But I do love how bright, yellow is not really one of my favorite colors, to be honest, but I actually really love how bright and nice this is, and I haven't really had a look through this yet, but I know that I think from what I've heard from other people, there's kind of some interesting house content in them, so I am really, really excited to have a quick flick through this and learn some new things about Hufflepuffs. So on the outside of that shopping centre is the Savers that I generally visit, and I decided on this day after this shopping trip to duck into Savers, and it was coming up to my birthday, and just see if there were any secondhand books in there that might tickle my fancy. I ended up purchasing 15 books on that one trip to Savers. I hit the absolute goldmine. I just kept finding books that I wanted to pick up, and I ended up purchasing 15. So let's quickly go through these as quickly as possible. The first one that I picked up is Before We Met by Lucy Whitehouse. This is just a kind of thriller story, I believe, about a woman who believes she has the perfect marriage, and then one day her husband doesn't come home, and she starts to find out all of these things about her husband from Before We Met. As I've said before, that's kind of a tropey, psychological thriller, plot line, but I'm into it, and I love psychological thrillers, and this was just a really like short one that seems like it'd be an easy read, and I was into it, and willpower was really low on this day, so I bought it. I then picked up Dr. Zhivago by, who is this by? Boris Pasternak. This is in the vintage like editions with the nice red spine and that, and I saw it and I hadn't necessarily been that drawn to read this. I have seen the movie of it and I just had never really thought about reading the book for some reason, but when I saw it there and I enjoyed the movie, I decided to pick it up and give it a go. This looks like a really kind of dense read. It doesn't look like too long, but the font is like quite small, so I don't know when I'll get to this, but I will at some point probably read this and then maybe rewatch the movie. Next, I saw a paperback edition of An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. It's really nice, like it's in like pretty much like brand new condition, and this was $4, so I had to get it. That was the case also with Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I hadn't necessarily been like, this wasn't like high on my list of priorities to read, but again, I saw this there. This is in basically brand new condition, and this was $3, so I just couldn't not pick it up. Next, I picked up A Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan. I don't know what this is about. I have no idea what this is about. All I know is that this was a winner of the Pulitzer Prize. I've heard many people talk about it, but like as I said, I don't actually know what it's about, but I saw it there. It was $3, so I bought it. I then saw The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. This is like a hardcover edition with the blue stained pages, and this was $4. I've never read anything by Patrick Ness. And I believe this is like set in a fantasy world, if I'm recalling the correct book, where there's like superheroes and like the chosen ones, but you're following like the ordinary everyday people. And I've heard mixed things about this, but that like plotline really, really intrigues me, and this is something that I would like to eventually read. Next, I found a copy of The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. This is a book that I've heard really mixed things about, but I have always been really interested in picking up because I believe, yeah, this is set on an island off the coast of Western Australia. So anything kind of like set around Australia, I'm always interested in picking up. And as I just picked this up to show you guys, I just noticed that someone has like handwritten a review in the back. It says, "A great debut novel, a real page turner. So well written, I could feel the emotions of each character." Like, it's got a bit more written there, but I won't read the whole thing, but that person who donated it really liked it. Next, I have one that I was really, really excited to find, and that is Longborn by Joe Baker. If you saw my most recent marked as to read video, I recently marked this as to read on Goodreads because this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling from the perspective of the servants. I'm really, really excited to pick this up because like it just sounds like something I would really, really enjoy. This was $4. And I can see that there's a sticker on the back from whoever bought this originally from Dimmicks, paid $33 for this, which is friggin' ridiculous that someone had to pay that much for it, but I was really happy to find it for only $4. Next, I picked up a copy of The Sudden Appearance of Hope by Claire North. This is another book that I've been really, really interested in. I'm also really interested in the other book by this author, which is The First 15 Lives of Harry August. So when I saw this there, again, this was $4, and this is a really nice, good quality hardback edition, like in really good condition. So I immediately picked this up, and I'm thinking now that I may look for a hard copy of The First 15 Lives of Harry August, so I have like kind of a matching set maybe. But yeah, I was really excited to see this there. I also found a nice hard copy edition of Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee. If you know, if you've ever like been watching my channel for maybe a long time, I haven't mentioned it in a while, but To Kill a Mockingbird is one of my favorite books. And I am very, very nervous to read this. I've never read this because I've just heard such mixed things about it, and mixed things about how Atticus is portrayed in this. And Atticus is like one of my favorite characters of all time. So I'm very, very scared to read this, but I just couldn't not pick up this beautiful hardcover edition, again, for only $4. Next, I found a copy of The Girl in the Spider's Web by, it's not by Stieg Larsson. He wrote the original 3 books in the Millennium Trilogy, and this is by David Lagerkrantz, who is continuing the series. And I wasn't sure if I was that interested in reading the continued series, but when I saw this there, again, it was $4. It just, when you see it for really cheap, it just pushes you into buying it. And as I've mentioned, my willpower on this day was just like really, really low. I then found a copy of The Narrow Bed by Sophie Hannah. This has actually been on my wish list on Book Depository for ages, and like I've been meaning to buy it. So when I saw it there for $4, this was just like basically saving me money to pick this up. This is, I believe, the next book in this is like a series of psychological thrillers that follow like a set of police detectives in one like police precinct in the UK. I absolutely adore these books. Like Sophie Hannah writes a freaking great psychological thriller. So I believe this is the next one in that series. And even if it's not, and this is just like a standalone book, I really love Sophie Hannah's writing, so I'm more than willing to read this. This next book is complete evidence of how low my willpower was. I picked up a copy of The Legacy by Kirsten Tranter. I have no idea what this is or what this is about, and like reading the back now, I don't even know that I'm necessarily that interested in it, but obviously at the time I was like, oh my god, wow, that looks good, and I picked it up because it was $3. This sounds like it's a literary fiction. It does look like it's written by an Australian author about a set of 3 friends and the different like, and friendship is like a big theme for me, but with all of the other books that I purchased, I probably didn't need to pick this up, but I did. Next, I found a copy of Don't You Cry by Mary Kubica. I haven't read anything by Mary Kubica, but I do own both Pretty Baby and The Good Girl, and when I saw this there, it was $4, so I bought it. And then finally, the final book that I picked up from that trip to Savers was He Said, She Said by Erin Kelly. This is a psychological thriller, I believe, that I've been hearing a bit about recently, and I actually saw this in, I think it was Big W when I was at the shopping center, and I saw it and was like, ooh, I've been hearing about that, but I was like, no, Karen, you don't need like to pay full price for that. And then when I saw it at Savers for $4, it again felt like a sign that I was supposed to buy it. And again, this has got a Dimmick sticker on the back, and someone paid $30 for this full price, and this is a very recent publication, I believe. Yeah, this is definitely a 2017 publication, and so to get it for $4 was an absolute steal. We then come to my usual monthly Book Depository order. So in my order this month, I picked up a copy of Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han. I own the other 2 books in this series, but I haven't read them, but I do plan to read this series this year, and so I wanted to get this 3rd book so that I have the complete trilogy. I also picked up a copy of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I do own an entire huge binder, which I've showed on this channel before, of Jane Austen's book in like a big hardcover edition with like gilded pages and everything, but I didn't own like a standalone copy of Pride and Prejudice, and it is my favorite book by Jane Austen, so I wanted to get a copy of this, that if I ever want to reread just this one, I can read it like in my own edition. And so I got these beautiful like leather bound editions. I can't remember what these are called, but it's really, really beautiful. And so, oh sorry, it's the Word Cloud Classics edition, so I picked up a copy of that. And the final book that I picked up from that monthly Book Depository order is Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. If you've watched my channel at all, you know that I am a big fan of Sarah Dessen. I've read all of her books except for this one, of course, which is her most recent publication. This is a young adult contemporary romance, I believe, about a girl who helps her mother plan weddings, and I'm really excited to get to this and see how I enjoy her most recent book. Never fear, friends, the book haul does not end here. On the 27th of June, it was my 29th birthday. I turned 29 and I had the day off work, and I spent the morning, I had coffee and breakfast like with my mum and my sister, and then I had nothing else to do the whole rest of the day, and so I decided to just drive around myself and go to a few of the local like Salvation Army and different like op shop places and see if there was any secondhand books to buy. And there were. There were in fact 21 books for me to buy. So let's talk about them. First we have The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney. This is a 2017 release that I just found randomly in a Salvation Army store. And like I said, this is a really recent release. It's a psychological thriller about 2 women on like different timelines who both move into the same house. And there's like weird things with the house, like the architect is really weird, and there's like weird rules for you to live in the house, I believe, and it just sounded really, really intriguing. And I saw this, how much was this? $3.25, so I bought it. Next, I bought The Dark Lie by Sarah Bailey. Again, I found this in a Salvation Army store, and I'd never heard of this, but it looked like a recent release, so I picked it up, and it was published in 2017. And this is another thriller novel about a woman gets murdered, and then there's this police detective who pushes to be a part of the investigation, and like doesn't tell them that she knew the victim in high school. And so that just sounded really, really interesting. It says, a hot summer, a shocking murder, a town of secrets waiting to explode. So like I said, I just basically picked this up because it was a 2017 release and it was $3. So again, I just couldn't not. In that same Salvation Army store, I found a copy of I See You by Claire McIntosh. I haven't read anything by Claire McIntosh, but I've heard really good things about her thrillers. I believe her other book is I Let Go or something along those lines, and people really, really rave. Oh, sorry, it says it right here. I Let You Go, and people really raved about that one. And I saw this, and I know again that it's a recent release, and it was only $3, so I immediately snapped it up. Next, I went into this really random, like, little op shop that I'd never been into before, and they had quite a lot of books in there, but there wasn't, like, a great selection necessarily, but there was a few things in there that I was interested in, but I wasn't sure what the pricing was. It wasn't really clear how much the books were, so I bought 5 books. I had 5 with me, and I just took them up to the counter, and I was like, oh, how much would it be for these? And she's like, oh, the books are half price today. And then she, like, looked at them, and she goes, it'll be $5. So I got these books for basically $1 each, so I was really, really happy with that. So the first one I picked up was Mrs. De Winter by Susan Hill. So this is a sequel to Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Obviously not written by Daphne du Maurier, but Susan Hill, I believe, is the author of The Woman in Black, which is a very, like, famous horror novel, and an unofficial sequel, I don't care. I immediately snapped this up. It's not in, like, this book's maybe a little bit dirty, like, it's not in great condition. It's got some kind of, like, spider webs and stuff on it, but I will clean it off, and, like, it was $1, and it relates to Rebecca, which is one of my favorite books, so I immediately was so excited to get this. Next, I grabbed The Island by Ellen Hildebrand, and I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I picked this up because I thought it was another book. I got this confused with On the Island by Tracy Garvis Graves or something like that, and that's not what this book is. This is, I don't even know, I believe it's just kind of a women's fiction contemporary story about 4 women are hoping to escape their troubles. I don't really know anything more than that. As I said, I bought this kind of by accident, but that's okay. I will eventually read it. I also found a really nice Penguin Classics edition of Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. This is a book that I've always planned to read, but I've kind of, like, put off purchasing because it is quite ginormous, but it was $1. So, of course, I bought it. I then grabbed The Shock of the Fall by Nathan Filer. This won the Costa Book of the Year in 2013, according to this sticker, but this is a book that I've just heard a lot. I've never really been too sure about what it was actually about, but you just hear people mention all the time, and it's always, like, really positive, and there's not really a synopsis on here, so I don't know. It does have a name in the front. Apparently this was previously owned by someone named Marion, so Marion, thank you for donating this so I could buy it for $1. But yeah, I grabbed that one because I've heard good things about it, and it was $1. And the last one that I picked up was The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon. This is a young adult or middle grade story, or it won a Teenage Fiction Award, so presumably it's young adult, and this is about a boy, I think maybe the boy's autistic, and, like, a dog is killed, and it's about the mystery of who killed the dog. I think, again, I've heard really, really positive things about this, and I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but, like, it was $1. Next, I moved on to another Salvation Army store, and I found a copy of Red Riding Hood by Sarah Blakely Cartwright and David Leslie Johnson. This is the Red Riding Hood retelling, oh my god, that's really hard to say, that the movie Red Riding Hood with, oh my god, I know her name, why is her name escaping me? Amanda Seyfried. That was really bothering me. Amanda Seyfried, the Red Riding Hood movie that she's in, this is the book that movie was based on, and I don't think that movie's supposed to be considered to be good, but I really, really enjoy that movie, and so I decided to grab a copy of this because it was only $2. I then found a copy of Carrie by Stephen King, and this was, again, $2, and this is, like, one of his shortest and earlier books. I've seen the movies, all of the movies of Carrie, I believe, and I think I may have read this when I was a teenager, but I'm not sure. I did read quite a bit of Stephen King as a teenager, but I'm not 100% sure on which ones if I've read some of them or not. So I may have read this, I may not. I'm not exactly sure. Then the last book I found at this particular Salvation Army store, I was really excited to find, and that was Winter by Marissa Meyer. This is in excellent, brand new condition. It was $3. I own Cinder, and I own Cinder, so I was planning to buy the rest of the series, so to get this for $3 was just an absolute bargain. I do still obviously need to buy Scarlet and Crest, and I presume I'll buy Fairest and the Stars Above, or whatever the setties afterwards, but still, I was always going to purchase this, like I said, so $3, it was really, really good price, okay? Next, even though I'd already been there like less than 2 weeks prior when I bought all those books from Savers, I went back to Savers and I found some more things there, and so I got a copy of Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. This is a adult fiction story about, I believe, a woman who goes missing. But I've heard a lot about this like a few years ago, but my brother's girlfriend Shakara actually recently read this and really, really enjoyed it. So I saw it there. It was $3, so I grabbed it. And then the other thing that I found at Savers, I found the complete trilogy by Sarah B. Larson. I'm not sure what the trilogy is called, but it's made up of Defy, Ignite, and Endure. Now, these are in paperback and this one's in a hardcover, but when you're getting them each, these were $3 each. So, like, it was $9 for the entire trilogy. I couldn't not buy it. And I believe I've heard I don't know what this is about, I'm not going to lie, but I've heard really, really good things about this trilogy. So I was really, really excited to pick those up. Now again, I found another copy of a book at Savers that I talked about in my most recent Marked As To Read video. So it was a sign, I had to buy it. I could not buy it. And that is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. This was $3. This was a National Book Award finalist apparently, but this is set around the World's Fair in the 1890s and it's about a serial killer. Like I said, I marked this as to read really recently, so I couldn't, as soon as I saw it on the shelf, I was like, oh my god, I just marked that book as to read, like, I'm gonna grab it. Like I said, $3, absolute bargain. I then grabbed The Girl Who Was Taken by Charlie Donlia. Again, this one, I was just getting a little carried away by this point, and I picked this one up because it sounded like a cool thriller, and I really like thrillers, and it was $4, so I bought it. We left Savers at this point, and I went to another random Salvation Army store, and at this one, I found a copy of The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. This was $3. I've never read anything by Neil Gaiman. I own Coraline, and I've heard really mixed things about this book in particular. I think this is kind of really like, you either love it or you hate it. But this is also a really nice, like, buttery, it's in really good condition. I'm really just justifying my purchases at this point. And then finally, I found, not finally, sorry, there's more to go. I found copies of The Farm and The Lair by Emily Mackay. Now, a few months ago when I went secondhand book shopping with my brother's girlfriend, Shakara, these books were at this store. So I saw them back then, and I was back at this same store, and they were still there, and I was kind of like, oh, I didn't get them last time, and I kind of wanted to, but they only had the first two, so I do need to get the third one, but I figure even getting the first two, these were $2 each. Even paying like, you know, $10 or something off Book Depository for the third one, it still is a bargain for the whole trilogy, so I got both of those. And the final book that I picked up in the month of June was Beside Myself by Anne Morgan. I'm going to quickly read you the synopsis of this because it's really short, and I had never heard of this, but it's what intrigued me to pick it up. It says, "It was just a game, it wasn't meant to be my life. Helen and Ellie are identical twins, like two peas in a pod, everyone says. The girls know this isn't true though. Helen is the leader and Ellie the follower, until they decide to swap places, just for fun and just for one day. But Ellie refuses to swap back, and so begins a nightmare from which Helen cannot wake up." That just sounds really, really intriguing to me, and as you know, if you've been watching my channel, twins is a massive buzzword for me. Anything like about twins and like twin relationships I just find really, really interesting, so I immediately grabbed this, and there's actually a quote from Nathan Filer, the author of The Shock of the Fall, which I bought, so of course it was a sign. It was $3. It was meant for me to buy it. So, those were all of the books that I purchased in the month of June. In case you couldn't tell from this haul, my willpower was at like rock bottom levels in June. This isn't even everything I bought for my birthday. I got a gift card to QBD from my sister, and I bought some books online with that. They haven't arrived yet. I also, like I said, I have that book coming from the giveaway, the Harry Potter hardcover edition that'll be in my July book haul. Like, my July book haul is going to be bigger than usual as well. Not as big as this. Like, I seriously need to, like, willpower needs to come back strong, because I keep all of my TBR books in my bedroom. Like, these are my red shelves, and I have a smaller bookshelf in my bedroom that has 3 shelves on it, and plus like 5 piles on the floor, and now I need to find room for all of these. So I don't really know what I'm going to do. I might have to, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's an issue for another video probably, but I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below if you've read any of these books, if you're excited by my gigantic book haul. How was your willpower in June? I kind of hope for your sake that your willpower was better than mine, but I would love to chat in the comments down below. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. But that's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys.